revealed the heartwarming truth behind his unexpected actions for his baby, a life-changing tale. In the small town of Willow Creek, whispers buzzed through the streets like bees around blooms. The tale of Michael, a 30-something mechanic, struck a chord that rattled through the hearts of many. A recent widower, he was left to navigate the stormy seas of single fatherhood with his newborn daughter, Lily, cradled in his arms. Did you hear? He's fixing cars for veterans now. Can you believe it? The townsfolk were curious, gossiping about a man they once thought they knew much about. When Michael first held Lily, his chest tightened, tears blurring his vision as her tiny, pink fingers curled around his index. That little girl breathed life back into him, a bittersweet elixir after losing his beloved wife just months before. Every coo from Lily was like music, a soft reminder of everything he cherished. With mounting bills piling up and opportunities dwindling, he rolled up his sleeves and opened his garage to fix cars for local veterans. It was a way to provide for Lily and an escape from heartache. Yet for all his efforts, the kindness he sought to spread turned into fodder for criticism. "Look at him," a neighbor would whisper, barely making it through the day. "How's he going to raise that girl?" As Michael poured himself into his work, surrounding himself with bruised souls reassuringly familiar, he felt the heavy weight of judgment. Friends he'd known for ages started to withdraw, casting sideways glances. Then came the storm, a tempest that turned Willow Creek into chaos. Michael watched helplessly as trees ripped from the ground and roofs caved under pressure. Power outages ensued, isolating families from each other, amplifying fear in the people he cared about. He felt the fracturing of his community, and though his own struggles overshadowed his days, he couldn't sit idly by. "We're stronger together," he said, though doubt knotted his stomach. With a deep breath and the image of Lily's bright smile anchoring him, he grabbed a flashlight and rallied his neighbors. They worked late into the night, lending hands and hearts to those in need. He helped an elderly neighbor clear her flooded basement, her gratitude warming his soul like a fire on a winter day. But still, the whispers haunted him. Is he really enough? They lingered, souring the sweetness of compassion. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the storm subsided, Michael stood at a crossroads. The town's skepticism began to wane as they saw him for who he truly was, a man fighting to keep his family and community together. Nonetheless, as a job opportunity loomed that could pluck him from his role as Lily's father, uncertainty gnawed at him. Then, a confrontation arose. A neighbor, arms crossed, eyes narrowed, challenged his worthiness for community support. "You think this is enough? What gives you the right?" With his heart pounding, Michael swallowed hard, ready to respond. Could he prove love and perseverance trump prejudice even in an unforgiving world? The heart of Willow Creek waited in breathless anticipation for the answer he might uncover, leaving readers on the edge of uncertainty, yearning for resolution. The tension hung in the air, thick like fog. Michael felt the weight of the neighbor's words digging into him. Everyone in the crowd seemed to draw in a collective breath, waiting for him to answer. Doubt flickered in their eyes, but there was also something else, an inkling of hope. "What gives me the right?" Michael echoed, his voice steady, but soft. He felt the beating of his heart as it quickened with each pulse of energy emanating from Lily, waiting just behind him in her stroller. "I lost my wife, but Lily is my reason to keep fighting. I fix cars for veterans because they fought for us. I want to show Lily that no matter how heavy the burden, you keep moving forward." He glanced down at Lily, who cooed as if she understood, her little hands groping for his. The serenity of her gaze, innocent and trusting, propelled him to continue. "We can all do something, can't we? I just want to help, to be there for others like they were there for me, for us." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some faces softened, their initial suspicion melting into something warmer. Perhaps they saw in him a mirror of their struggles and desires, a reflection of what they too wanted to believe, that amidst hardship, goodness could thrive. Maybe we do need to step up, all of us, another neighbor spoke up, breaking the silence. It was Martha, a kind soul who volunteered with the local food bank. I've been so caught up in my own worries, I forgot about my neighbors. Michael's heart swelled even as uncertainty lingered. Could they really come together? Just then, a small boy ran up to him, dirty face smeared with mud from playing outside. "Mister, can I help you with fixing cars?" he asked earnestly. The spark in his eyes reminded Michael of all the hope and potential wrapped up in youth. A smile broke across Michael's face. "Absolutely, buddy. I could use an extra pair of hands. Do you like getting dirty?" The boy grinned and nodded, excitement bubbling in his voice. Watching the townsfolk warm up, he could see their barriers starting to fracture, piece by piece. "If we can fix cars together," Michael continued, "then maybe we can fix this town too." One by one, hands started to raise, volunteers emerging from the shadows, wanting to join in. Flowers sprouting amidst rubble. They began sharing resources, families connecting and reconnecting over tools and old memories. The storm had shown them what they'd been missing: the strength in unity, the power of compassion. As night fell, the garage lit up like a beacon, bustling with life. Laughter echoed amidst the clatter of tools. Children played under the watchful eyes of their parents, and for a moment, Michael believed that Willow Creek was healing. Yet, he couldn't shake the feeling of dread looming over his future. The prospect of that job offer still gnawed at his mind, an uncertain twist in a story he felt was finally turning toward hope. Then came a sudden knock on the door, and when Michael opened it, he was met with a figure wrapped in shadows. "Michael," it was the mayor, her expression serious. "Can we talk?" The murmurs around the garage quieted instantly. All eyes were on Michael, watching him grapple with this unexpected development. What could the mayor want at this hour? His heart raced. Was this about the job, or something more? He had fought so hard to establish a place for himself and Lily in Willow Creek. But through this door stood a test he never anticipated, one that could shake everything he'd built. Would his efforts finally earn him the recognition he sought, or would they prove to be a fleeting illusion? As the unexpected conversation unfolded, Michael braced himself for a life-altering revelation. What awaited him on the other side? Michael stood at the doorway, his stomach churning with unease. The mayor's presence felt heavy as it loomed over the cheerful atmosphere inside the garage. The laughter, the warmth, the fragile sense of community he had fought so hard to spark now hung precariously in the balance. "Michael," the mayor said again, her voice steady, but the weight behind her words was unmistakable. "I need to discuss the town's future and yours." She hesitated, glancing over his shoulder. He swallowed, feeling every eye in the room watching, their hopes pinned on him. "Right now? Can't it wait until tomorrow?" "No, it can't." Her serious tone was like a gust of wind snuffing out candlelight. "You've done something remarkable here tonight. This place, what you're building, it's important. We need to talk about your offer." "What offer?" Michael's heart raced. The job at the car shop, the promise of a stable life for Lily, it all seemed so far away. The position at the community center, the one I mentioned about involving veterans and kids. "It's yours if you want it." Shock rippled through him. The very thing he had dreamt of, something more than just fixing cars, it felt like a well-deserved validation. But horror also seeped in. What would he have to sacrifice to accept this role, and how would it affect Lily? "I don't know," he trailed off, uncertainty filling the air. The idea of stepping into a prominent role was daunting. "Isn't the community still wary of me? They only started accepting me, and it's all so new." The mayor stepped closer, her voice low but firm. "You've shown them your heart tonight, Michael. You've built a bridge where there was once a gap. They need someone like you to guide them, to help shape this town's future for our kids." A flicker of hope ignited in him, but worry snuffed it out quickly. "But what if I can't live up to it? What if I'm just chasing after the shadows of what I lost?" "Everyone faces doubt," the mayor said, her eyes unyielding as they met his. But remember, you're not alone. You have a community behind you now. You've caught their attention. You've inspired them. Her words settled like ashes in his mind. Michael thought of the eager boy with dirt on his face, the laughter of children echoing in the garage, and the way the neighbors had rallied, hands reaching out to help. Inside this newfound sense of belonging lay a flicker of his late wife's spirit, encouraging him, reminding him of who he was before tragedy struck. I need to think. The mayor nodded, but there was a depth in her gaze that worried him. I understand. But know this, Michael, Willow Creek needs you. As she turned to leave, a small voice piped up from behind. It was the boy again, the one who wanted to help with cars. Mister, do you really get to help everyone? Like even the kids? Michael smiled down at him, his heart swelling with the warmth of purpose. Yes, we can help everyone. We're part of something bigger now. The boy's eyes sparkled with wonder. That's awesome. The mayor paused at the door. You're building not just a job, but a legacy. Her words hung in the air, and Michael felt the truth resonate. As the door closed behind her, the room slowly filled with laughter again, but Michael's mind raced. Should he grasp this chance to elevate his work, or stay grounded where he felt equal to the community? The weight of the decision pressed down hard. He wanted to keep that spark alive, for the sake of Lily and Willow Creek. But was he ready to embrace it fully? Just then, Michael felt a small hand tugging at his shirt. It was Lily, her big, trusting eyes looking up at him, as if waiting for his next move. What do you say, Lily? He whispered, knowing the answer lay not just in his heart, but in her innocent gaze. Would he step into the unknown, or would he let fear dictate the next chapter of their lives? With each passing breath, the answer drifted alongside new possibilities, a promise of hope lingering just out of reach. Michael knelt down, looking into Lily's eyes, searching for reassurance in her small frame. It always amazed him how such a little girl could wield so much strength. Being in charge means I'll be picking up more responsibilities. And that means I might be home less. Lily scrunched her nose, deep in thought. But if you help more people, they'll help you back, right? Like how everyone helped us when we moved here. Her voice was innocent, yet profoundly wise, as if she could see connections he hadn't considered. Her words struck a chord deep in his heart. It had been true. The community had rallied around him when they first arrived. Every meal shared, every hand offered in labor, their support was genuine. Yeah, that's true, he whispered, a newfound sense of determination washing over him. The laughter around them felt like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, harmonious and light. The crowd had returned to their conversations, but a few kids still eagerly poked around the garage, whispering about their own dreams and ambitions. Michael straightened up, a mix of pride and pressure swirling within him. He glanced back at the door through which the mayor had just left. How did this one conversation shift everything? It felt monumental, as if the very fabric of his life was being rewoven. Here was his chance. What had once felt lost could maybe be found again. Scary, huh? Lily said, sensing his hesitation. But you're brave, Dad. You always say we have to try. Those words wrapped around him like a warm blanket. When had he stopped believing that for himself? When had he allowed fear to take the reins? The answer hung heavy in the air. He'd become too concentrated on what he might lose that he had forgotten what he could gain, not just for himself, but for Lily and their entire town. You're right, kiddo, he finally said, feeling a rush of enthusiasm rush through him. I do need to try. For you, for everyone. The little girl's face lit up like a bonfire. Can we go back to the community center? I want to see what it's like to help too. The innocence of her proposal sent a warmth bubbling through his chest. Absolutely, he said, his spirit lifting. Let us find a way to get involved together. As he basked in the glow of her excitement, he caught the eye of the boy he had spoken with earlier. The kid was still nearby, pretending to tinker with a toolbox. Michael grinned and waved him over. Hey, buddy, looking for some tools? The boy nodded enthusiastically, stepping closer. Do you think we can teach more people? Like how to fix their bikes? Or help clean up the park? Definitely. What if we set up a day for the community to bring their broken things, and we help fix them, together? The boy's eyes lit up. Like a repair fair? Exactly. And we can invite everyone, the veterans, kids, families, and maybe even some food trucks. Michael's mind raced with ideas. How does that sound? Awesome. Can we have a big sign? The boy bounced on his toes, excitement radiating off him. Biggest sign ever, Michael replied, laughter bubbling in his throat as he embraced this newfound enthusiasm. The atmosphere in the garage shifted again, morphing from a simple gathering into something more, a heartbeat of ingenuity and hope. Telling ideas sparked from conversations, and he felt an energy building around him. This was what the mayor had meant. This was community. As the evening rolled on, Michael began to envision how his role could expand beyond the confines of the community center. He could create a space where everyone contributed, where kids learned alongside adults, and where stories were shared. This was his chance, not only to shape Willow Creek's future but perhaps even his own. But as the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the garage, a thought gnawed at the edge of his consciousness. What if he bit off more than he could chew? He didn't want to fail them or himself again. Then he caught Lily looking at him with pure admiration as she conversed with her new friend. It anchored him in that moment, filling him with resolve. The decision was inching closer, lingering like the sweetest taste. "I'll do it," he murmured to himself, feeling a shiver of excitement and trepidation. He would accept. He would step into the unknown. But just as he solidified his resolve, the room grew silent. A sudden commotion at the entrance made heads turn, and a figure stood there, cloaked in shadow, bearing a familiar face that made Michael's heart freeze. It was the very person he had hoped would never return to Willow Creek, the voice of his past echoing back into a life he was trying to rebuild. What would this mean for Michael? Would everything he had worked towards come crashing down? The air thickened with tension, filled with uncertainty as the door swung open wider. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a weathered face that was etched with both time and regret. Michael's breath hitched in his throat. It was Jake, his estranged brother. Once inseparable as kids, they drifted apart, torn by choices, misunderstandings, and a life that didn't turn out as either had hoped. "What are you doing here?" Michael's voice was a whisper, raw with memories that clawed at him. Jake looked around the garage, taking in the scene filled with laughter and hope. I heard about the community fair you're planning. Thought maybe I could help." Help? The word startled Michael. The last he saw of Jake was when he turned his back on everything they had once shared. Help? After everything? His heart raced, anger bubbling beneath the surface. "Look, Mikey." Jake's voice trembled slightly. "I know I messed up, but I want to be a part of this. I'm trying to change, to make things right." Lily, wide-eyed and trusting, pulled on Michael's arm. "Daddy, it's your brother." He looked sad. Maybe he really wants to help. The innocence in her tone made Michael clench his fists. But deep down, doubts crept in. Perhaps this was a chance for redemption, not just for Jake, but for them both. "Why now?" Michael asked, keeping his voice steady despite the turmoil inside him. "Why come back after all this time?" Jake rubbed the back of his neck and took a step forward. "Because I've been watching from the sidelines. I see how you've built something here, how everyone believes in you. I want to believe in something again too, even if it's just a small part of it." A tense silence stretched between them. The garage buzzed with activity. But for Michael, the world faded, leaving just him and the brother he'd lost. Lily, sensing the weight of the moment, broke in, "Dad, he can help teach people about fixing bikes." Her enthusiasm carried a hope that tugged at Michael's heart. Jake's face flickered with surprise, and for the first time, a small smile broke through his somber exterior. "I could do that," he said slowly. "I remember fixing up old bikes with you before everything went wrong." Michael's mind was racing. Could he really consider this? The past felt like a shadow, creeping closer to swallow him whole. But Lily's bright eyes, filled with a mix of trust and excitement, shifted something in him. What if this is a chance? He thought. What if healing starts here? "All right," he said finally, his voice steady but soft. We can talk about it. We'll plan something together, but if this is going to work, you need to show me you mean it. Jake nodded vigorously, a spark of hope igniting in his eyes. I will. Promise. Just then, a sudden cheer erupted from the children who had been listening nearby. They were full of ideas and energy, their voices swirling around like leaves dancing in the wind. Michael glanced at them and felt the warmth of possibility blossom in his chest. But just as the excitement built, a loud crash echoed from outside, the unmistakable sound of something valuable breaking. Michael's stomach dropped as he ran toward the door, glancing back at Jake, who was meeting his gaze with determined eyes. What just happened? Michael felt panic rise, uncertainty threatening to choke the moment's joy. As he burst outside, ready to confront whatever chaos awaited, a familiar face peered back at him, one he never expected to see again. Did something happen? Jake asked, stepping up behind him. And there it was, the undeniable truth lurking behind every decision made so far. Michael felt the weight of responsibility pressing down even harder. Would he truly be able to juggle this new partnership with his brother while forging ahead with his vision for the community? With determination settling in, he faced the unknown outside, ready to embrace what was coming. But the question lingered at the edge of his thoughts. Would his attempt to rebuild bridges allow him to stand strong, or would it all come crashing down? The door creaked open, and Michael stepped into the sprawling chaos outside. His eyes scanned the scene, heart racing at the sight of broken bike parts scattered across the pavement. A group of kids stood nearby, wide-eyed, their faces painted with shock and embarrassment. In the middle of it all, a red tricycle lay crumpled, its front wheel bent at an awkward angle. What happened? Michael's voice broke through the tension, sharper than intended. The kids looked down, shuffling their feet. I think we were trying to see how fast it could go. One of them stammered. A few snickers broke out, quickly silenced by the gloom of broken dreams beneath the bright summer sky. Michael's anger flared, but then he caught sight of Jake stepping beside him, his face a mix of concern and understanding. They're just kids. They'll learn, Jake said gently, placing a hand on Michael's shoulder. Just like we did. Those words felt like a kick to Michael's gut. They both knew the weight of lessons learned through mistakes. It was a truth they shared but had so painfully lived apart. All right, Michael finally managed. Let us fix this together. He turned to the kids, forcing a smile through his unease. Who wants to help me with repairs? Together we can rebuild. It's about learning teamwork, and mistakes can turn into something good. The children perked up, eyes sparkling with hope. A few of them rushed forward, eager to grab tools and pick up the scattered pieces. Michael's heart softened, even as he felt the old wounds ebb and flow within him. Jake, will you help? Michael asked, the words feeling heavier than he intended. Of course, Jake replied, confidence growing in his voice. Let us teach them how building something takes time. As they gathered tools and began to explain how to straighten the wheel, something shifted. Laughter spilled into the air, and for a brief moment, anxiety melted away. Michael watched Jake interact with the kids, his brother's hands deftly showing them how to grip the wrench and turn it just right. It was a sight he thought he'd never see again. I didn't know you could still fix bikes, Michael mentioned, trying to keep his tone casual. Jake paused, wiping sweat from his brow. I learned it from you, remember? Just because we lost touch doesn't mean I forgot those good times. Michael nodded but felt a lump forming in his throat. Memories flickered across his mind, moments of laughter, of biking through the neighborhood, of feeling carefree. Could they find that again? Lily joined the group, her small hands cupping a broken piece as she looked up at both men. This is like magic. You can make things better. The innocence of her statement stung. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting everything in soft shades of orange, Michael felt a surprising lift in his heart. Maybe this was a kind of magic, a chance to rebuild not just a broken bike, but a broken bond. As the kids cheered at their progress, everything felt different. But the looming question of mistrust still lingered in the back of Michael's mind. Could he really trust Jake? Suddenly, a loud shout captured everyone's attention. A kid named Ethan had just jumped onto the newly repaired bike and was pedaling furiously in circles. There was joy, spontaneity, and a spark of life that ignited the atmosphere around them. But just as quickly, Ethan lost his balance and fell, sending everyone into a frightened hush. The boy lay still for a moment, and Michael's heart sank as he rushed forward. "Ethan, are you okay?" he called out, dread clawing at him. As they gathered around Ethan, the sunlight blinkered through the trees, casting a soft glow over their worried faces. And in that moment, Michael realized his instincts were still raw. Healing wasn't just about fixing bikes. It was about connection with family, memories, and the future. As Ethan's small smile emerged from the concerned whispers, Michael felt a warm surge of hope. But beneath it all, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Could they truly build something strong together with all the pieces once scattered? And as Michael caught Jake's eye, he knew that together they had to face not just the injuries of youth, but their past as well. Would the heartwarming truth of their connection truly reignite, or would the ghosts of yesterday continue to haunt them? Michael's breath came in quick bursts as he knelt beside Ethan, the worry on the boy's face morphing into a grin that took the air out of Michael's lungs. "I'm okay," Ethan chirped, brushing dirt from his shorts as he jumped up. The cheer of the kids surrounding him echoed like a sweet melody, lifting the fears that had tightened around Michael's chest. "See? You just gotta shake it off," Michael said, ruffling Ethan's hair. The innocence of the moment tinged with joy reminded Michael of simpler days, before adult problems turned their lives into a tangled mess. Feeling a presence beside him, he turned to find Jake squatting down, watching the kids with a small smile. "Looks like our little mishap turned into a lesson on resilience," Jake said softly. "Sometimes falling is just part of figuring out how to ride." "Yeah," Michael replied, his throat tightening again. It was what they had both learned the hard way. Life together had once flourished in laughter, but those moments had turned bitter, a reminder of their broken bond. Could they ever truly recover what was lost? Suddenly, Lily, with her bright eyes and beaming smile, piped up. "Can we take turns riding now?" "Sure. Just be careful," Michael called back. And with that, Ethan hopped back on, pedaling cautiously as the others cheered him on. Each turn of the wheel felt like a reawakening, a crack in the heavy wall of doubt that loomed over Michael. As the warmth of the evening sun bathed the scene in golden hues, Jake leaned closer to Michael. "It's nice to see you like this again," he said. There was a vulnerability in his voice that Michael hadn't heard in years, a sincerity that felt like a bridge trying to reconnect them. "Yeah, it is," Michael agreed, unable to shake the previous tension that lingered beneath the surface. "But I don't know if I can trust it." "Trust you. We can figure it out together," Jake replied, determination flickering in his eyes. Together the word felt foreign yet familiar, heavy with meaning. Could they really rebuild? Just like the bike? The kids took turns on the tricycle, their laughter weaving through the air as remnants of doubt slowly evaporated under the warm embrace of genuine smiles. With each turn, Michael observed the spark igniting not only in the children but inside himself too. The feelings of anxiety and resentment began to dissipate like fog under the sun. But in the back of his mind, unanswered questions clawed at him. What would it take to completely forgive? Would the past follow them like a shadow? Or could they truly start fresh? As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and purple, the joyous laughter faded slightly into a more reflective atmosphere. Michael felt a pull in his heart, a new path emerging before him, yet fear hedged at the edges. Feeling a familiar weight settle back in, Michael glanced at Jake. "There's so much we need to talk about." Jake nodded, the intensity in his gaze sharpening. "I know." And just then, the sound of laughter shattered the heavy mood. One of the kids had sent Ethan tumbling again, not in an accident this time, but in playful competition. "Hey," Michael shouted playfully. "We're trying to fix things here." But deep down, Michael knew one thing was certain. The path ahead was full of uncertainties. Yet there was promise of hope in the laughter and the sun dipping low behind the trees. As they gathered at the end of the evening, tired but glowing, one last thought tugged at Michael. Would they confront their unique struggles, or slip back into silence once more? He wasn't sure. But as he locked eyes with Jake, something unmistakable flickered between them. The journey had just begun. The air tingled with the excitement of the evening, yet Michael could feel an undercurrent of tension swirling beneath the laughter. As the children raced back to the tricycle, their joy almost contagious, he turned to Jake. "Can we talk now?" he asked, dropping his voice to a more intimate level, hoping the rest of the group would be preoccupied with their games. Jake's expression softened, and he nodded. "Yeah. Let us step aside for a bit." They moved a few steps away, standing beneath the dim glow of a nearby streetlight. The world around them faded as their focus tightened like a camera lens. "Michael, Jake started, but the words hung heavy in the air, hesitant and laden with unspoken fears. "Just say it. We can't keep avoiding this forever." Michael's heartbeat quickened, uncertainty coursing through him. It was as if they were standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into unknown waters. Jake ran a hand through his hair, a gesture Michael was all too familiar with. "I know I've messed up. I've hurt you in ways I never intended." His voice cracked a little, revealing vulnerability. "But I want to make it right. I really do." "Do you?" Michael asked, disbelief creeping into his tone. "Because it didn't feel that way when you left, when it was too easy to walk away." The sting of those memories burned anew, and he tried to swallow it down. "It was easier for me to bury myself in work than to face what I'd done," Jake admitted, his voice almost trembling. "But I realized that no amount of work could fill the void we created between us." Michael turned his gaze to the ground, the weight of his emotions pressing down on him like a heavy blanket. "I don't want to stay stuck in the past, but how do we start to rebuild from broken pieces?" Jake stepped closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "We start by being honest, by facing our truths no matter how messy they might be. I want to share everything. My regrets, my fears, and maybe even my hopes." Michael's heart ached at the sincerity in Jake's eyes. The flicker of hope that had been blooming over the evening threatened to cascade into a full-blown flame. "And if I'm not ready, then I'll wait," Jake responded, and the quiet conviction in his voice sent a tremor through Michael's heart. "I'll wait for however long it takes, because you are worth that wait." Before he could respond, cheers erupted from the kids as Ethan scored a triumphant victory on the tricycle. The joyful noise broke their solemn moment, a reminder of the innocence they were trying to reclaim. Michael glanced back to the children, who were now wrapped in a spiral of laughter and celebration. "Look at them. They're so free," Michael said, the hint of a smile breaking through. "Am I being foolish to believe we can find that again?" "No, it's not foolish. It's courageous," Jake replied softly. "Each of them is showing us that falling down, getting back up, learning to ride, it's all part of the journey." The weight shifted between them, and the small flicker of hope brightened. They stood in silence for a moment, absorbing the warmth and laughter of the children, allowing their hearts to breathe. "Tell me this, if we start talking about our past, will it pull us apart or bring us together?" Michael finally asked, searching for clarity. Jake's gaze held steady, filled with resolve. "It has to bring us together. It has to. Otherwise, what's the point?" As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, the promise of a new day shimmered between them. Questions hung in the air, but beneath it all, they knew this was just the beginning. And as the laughter of children echoed in the twilight, Michael found himself leaning toward the possibility of hope. But the shadows of their past still loomed large. Could they really navigate the dangerous terrain of honesty without losing each other once more? The thought lingered in his mind, haunting yet challenging, as they turned back to face the laughter and joy of the kids, finally ready to step into the unknown together. The bustling laughter of children surrounded them like a warm blanket, but Michael's heart felt exposed, threading through the raw emotions rising to the surface. The excitement of the moment seemed to tangle with the tension still clinging to him and Jake. He could hear Ethan's giggles mingling with the screech of the tires on the tricycle, a stark contrast to the uncertainty simmering between the two of them. "Michael, maybe we should sit down," Jake suggested, nodding toward a nearby bench. It was as though he sensed the heaviness hanging over their conversation, and the need for a space to truly connect felt pressing. After a moment's hesitation, they made their way to the wooden seat, the creak of the aged boards echoing their uncertainty. Sitting side by side, the laughter just a whisper away, Jake looked guilty enough to sink in his own skin. I can't keep pretending. I didn't just leave you. I left behind us everything we were building. And honestly, I was terrified. Michael turned to him, his heart racing again. Not from anger but from listening to the vulnerability surfacing. Terrified of what? Of us or of facing yourself? The corners of his mouth turned down as the weight of the past loomed like a stormy cloud above them. Jake swallowed hard. Both, I guess. I thought I could handle everything alone. I wanted to protect you from my failures, but by shutting you out, I just hurt you more. Protecting me? The question slipped out, more incredulous than reproachful. Is that how you think this works? Running away is not protection. It's leaving the door wide open for doubt and fear to walk in. He saw Jake's shoulders slope, that familiar tension in his body. I know. I didn't see it that way then. Felt like the only option. Michael leaned forward, trying to ignite the embers of understanding that had been so delicately fanned into life earlier. But it's not too late, you know? We can unpack this. We have to. We owe it to ourselves. Jake cut him off, a spark igniting in his eyes. What if we can't fix it? His voice trembled, filled with an emotion that matched Michael's own. What if we're too far gone? For a fleeting second, fear gripped Michael's heart. It was the same fear that had dogged him during those endless nights when he replayed conversations in his mind, wishing desperately for a different outcome. But watching the children still gleefully racing their tricycles, he felt a surge of warmth pushing back against that fear. What we have can change. It's not too late. Jake's expression softened, and a shy smile slowly broke through. I want that. I want us to figure it out. You know, there's something beautiful in vulnerability. It's like the kids out there. They crash, they fall, but they get right back up, always ensured by their joy. Michael took a deep breath, pivoting back to the sound of laughter. Maybe we can learn from them, be bold enough to try again. And then, a thought formed in his mind, quiet but assertive. What if we do go back to the beginning? To when we were building dreams, before the shadows crept in? Jake turned toward him, the light in his eyes a promise of what could be. What if we wrote our own rulebook? One that allows for mistakes but also expects growth. There was a pause as their gaze locked, something akin to a silent agreement passing between them. They weren't quite there yet, but the path felt clearer. The sounds of laughter drew closer as the kids returned, their joy wrapping around Michael and Jake. It felt like a cloud of possibilities gathering above them, ready to burst forth. He felt a rush of tenderness. Maybe it's not about what happened. It's about what we're willing to build moving forward. As he scanned the faces of the children, he noticed something that made him blink. A young girl with a flower crown tugged at Jake's hand, her excitement palpable. Come play with us. Jake looked back at Michael, a glimmer of hope sparkling in his eyes. What do you think? Can we face the future together? Michael's heart raced both with fear and excitement. I want that more than anything. But as he stood, the question remained. Would the shadows from their past allow them to truly embrace the wonder ahead? As the laughter of the children echoed through the fading light, Michael felt a remarkable shift within himself. He stood up, joining Jake, who was already making his way toward the kids, an act of stepping back into life, onto the path of brotherhood they thought lost forever. Ready to face this together? Jake asked, an eagerness lighting his features. Always, Michael replied, his voice steady as he took a deep breath. Clarity surged through him. His fears felt lighter, and hope began to settle into his bones like a familiar warmth. With each step toward the kids, Michael realized that healing wasn't just about forgiving the past, but also about embracing the possibility of a new future. Perhaps the mistakes they made could be transformed into lessons not just for them but for the children who watched so intently. All right, Michael called out, gathering the attention of the kids, who had been preparing for more races on the repaired tricycle. How about we have a community day? We can all pitch in, fix things, share ideas, and even have a little fun. The kids cheered, their energy infectious. Lily's eyes sparkled with excitement, and she waved her little arms, bursting with eagerness. Can we have snacks too? She chimed, her enthusiasm capturing everyone's hearts. Michael exchanged a glance with Jake, and the two brothers nodded in sync, feeling emboldened by the children's excitement. Absolutely. Let us make it the best day ever, complete with snacks, Jake added, playing along with the energy swarming around them. And as they began brainstorming what this community day could look like, fixing bikes, sharing stories, enjoying food, the air filled with giggles, and the shadows of uncertainty melted further away. Michael felt a bond developing not just with Jake, but with the very fabric of the community that had once been fractious. That night, the garage transformed into a beacon of enthusiasm, a hub for laughter and camaraderie. Everyone joined in, each neighbor pitching ideas or suggesting games, and old grudges began to seem trivial in the light of possibilities being born. Michael and Jake immersed themselves in discussions with the children around, their excitement mixing effortlessly with the chatter of adults who brought their own stories of struggle turned to strength. Together, they could build a day that not only served to connect but to heal deep-seated wounds. As the plans began to take form, Michael felt the warmth of something anew. A promise sprouted in the deep recesses of his heart. Forgiveness and the longing for connection replaced any sense of bitterness. This was what it meant to be a community. Can we do it again, Mr. Michael? A little boy asked, his eyes bigger than the world. Yes. Michael found himself responding, a vision newly anchored. Let us make this a regular thing. Together we can solve challenges that arise, just like we're doing here. The smiles provided instant assurance. This was a path worth walking. He knew it wouldn't always be easy. There would be discussions about the past, the cries of reinstated disagreements, but this time, they'd walk through it together. One step, one day, one heartfelt moment at a time. And as Michael glanced at Jake, his brother, his long-lost companion, he saw a glimmering understanding reflected back at him. They'd venture into the shadows together, tackle the echoes of hurt with honesty, and forge forward toward a breathtaking horizon, one filled with the laughter of kids and the gentle kindness of neighbors. Before they parted ways that evening, Michael felt compelled to pull Jake aside. There was a reason behind everything that had unfolded, and it was time to voice his truth. I'm glad you're back. We both have wounds, but I can feel the change in the air. We've got the chance to rebuild, and I want to do it right this time. Jake nodded, visibly moved. So do I, Mikey. So do I. As they stood there, united by hope amidst the gathered warmth of their community, Michael knew that wonderful things awaited, all bound by love, forgiveness, and determination. And for the first time in years, he felt the weight of grief lifted, replaced by the lightness of possibility, shimmering under the starlit sky above Willow Creek. This was it. They were ready to face everything together. Now, before you go, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. If you enjoyed the journey, leave a like now to feed the algorithm. And I can't wait to hear your reactions and feelings about this ending. Comment below. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who could benefit from this transformation. Your support means everything,